So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying today's seminar. Definitely lots of great information and tidbits we picked up today. For everyone that's made it this far, thank you for tuning in for our last session. I'm very excited about our expert panel. We're going to hear from three of our expert customers. We have Tammy Ellis, Steve Bingham-Hawk, and Virgil James, as they answer some questions regarding how they've been able to leverage GiveSignup, RunSignup to help scale and streamline event and fundraising operations within their organization. Before we get started with some of these questions, I really would first want to let each of our panelists introduce themselves, give us a brief overview about their organization, and really share how long they've been a part of the GiveSignup, RunSignup community. So why don't we start with you, Tammy?
All right, good afternoon. Like she said, my name's Tammy, and I work for a not-for-profit called Wheeler Mission. We're here in Indianapolis, Indiana. We work with homeless men, women, and children in the community. We have about 9 locations here locally and a lot of programs to help people get back on their feet. So that's a little bit about what we do, and I just oversee the events that help raise funds and awareness in the community.
Thanks, Tammy. And how long have you been a part of our community?
I think we are going on our 3rd year with RunSignup, GiveSignup.
Awesome. All right, let's pass it to Virgil.
Good afternoon. My name is Virgil James. I'm the race director for the Civil Rights Race Series. We're an event management company in the endurance space, and we do civil rights themed events. Events that commemorate different civil rights events from Selma to Montgomery to Memphis to Birmingham. We've been with RunSignup for about 4 years now, and I'm the development lead as well.
Great, we're glad to have you. And Steve, last but not least.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here today. So I'm kind of straddling both worlds in that I have been producing events and races for the last 16 years, but recently came on board as a senior account manager with RunSignup, GiveSignup. So I am still doing some events on the side. So I live in both worlds. The biggest race that I've been producing in the last 9 years or so is the Salt Lake City Marathon. And with GiveSignup, RunSignup, I'm also like a recent convert. So I have been with every platform in the world, from Sign Me Up to Eventbrite to Chronotrack, and there's pluses and minuses to each of them, but just really came in and leaned in hard to RunSignup, GiveSignup when I came on when the pandemic hit, and I can talk a little bit more about that later. But it's been a wonderful experience. So about a year in for right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. All right, we're going to jump into some questions we already have, but for those who are listening in, feel free to submit any questions you might have in the chat, and we'll make sure that they also get answered. Feel free to jump in, Tammy, Steve, or Virgil, wherever. But the first question I have for you all is, what was the turning point for your organization when you really realized you needed a technology partner to really help you reach your goals?
Okay, I'll start. As a runner and a member of a running club, we decided that we wanted to start doing races. And so we started looking at various platforms. And the team at RunSignup was just open and warm to us newbies at the time. You know, we knew what we wanted to do, but we were really green with the technology piece. We knew we wanted to organize. We knew we wanted to create teams. Our first event was a 51-mile relay. And so the team got on with us and kind of walked us through how to assemble that with our corporate partners. And it's just been a match made in heaven. But it was just by happenstance that we stumbled upon RunSignup. And, you know, we didn't know what we didn't know, and jumped in here. And, you know, we've been courted by all of the other platforms, but, you know, we found a home, and we're staying here.
Great, thanks. Anyone else, Tammy or Steve, did you want to jump in on that one as well?
Yeah, I could speak to going back to my mention of the when the pandemic hit. We had a lot of races, including a 9-city tour that all got canceled in the matter of a couple of weeks for the American Brain Tumor Association. And they were panicking to find out how they could activate their sponsorships. They had several contracts in place. And when we discovered RaceJoy, part of the GiveSignup, RunSignup world and platform, it was a game changer because they felt confident that they didn't have to say, sorry, we can't do the sponsorship, let's roll you to next year. They were able to fulfill it through some of the customization and the audio messages there. And then on the flip side of that, or to extend that, was the ability to house in one area or one platform the fundraising piece and the endurance registration piece, and it all to talk to each other across groups, teams, fundraising, individual and teams. No one had done that well anywhere else, and suddenly we had an all-in-one solution for them as well as many of our clients. So it in a way it saved our company, and it saved a lot of race series by pivoting over to this platform.
Great.
For us, being a not-for-profit doing events, we have a lot of different types of events. And like Steve, I've tried a lot of different platforms over the 19 years that we've been doing the events, and RunSignup could do them all. So it was just easier to use. The fundraising, which is huge for a not-for-profit, is integrated. Just the ability to communicate through the platform, just having everything in one platform, and now with GiveSignup as well, it makes it a lot easier on my job.
Awesome. Well, you all just kind of answered my second question within that question, which was diving further into kind of the evaluation process and what did you love most about GiveSignup and RunSignup. It sounds like there was this common theme of this all-in-one, right, in one place. I know, Virgil, you touched on a bit about the team itself at RunSignup and how warm and welcoming they were in helping you get going. Is there anything else you guys would add there that really made GiveSignup and RunSignup stand out amongst some of the other organizations that were trying to win your business at the time?
Just going along with what Virgil said, the customer service is outstanding with RunSignup, GiveSignup. Just especially figuring it out at first. If I had a question, I just shoot an email to the team that was assigned to help us, and they would get back pretty quickly, and just really patient as we learned, and even was able to figure some things out that to make it better. So customer service was huge for me.
Awesome.
And I also like to add the user experience. From our endurance family perspective, it's easy to get in there. We want them to run, we want them to donate, and the ease of use of the software, I think, is a selling point for us as well. We want to make it as easy as possible to come out and run as many miles as possible. And so this facilitates that really well.
And I would add that a game changer for me was the automatic incomplete registration emails, as well as the referrals program. Not only the follow-up to create the custom referral links for registrants, but also the rewards you can put in place, and it's all automated, so you didn't have to manage it. We had a horrible system before where we were literally checking a custom question answer and comparing, oh, who recommended? This friend recommended, are they registered? VLOOKUPs, Excel. I mean, all of that was cut out when we moved over to RunSignup.
Awesome, great. It's great to hear all of that. We really do have a purpose-built platform, and I think your answers really do speak to that as well. So switching gears a bit, talking a little bit more about 2020. So 2020 was obviously a year no one had planned, right? So talk to us a little bit about how you and your organization was able to be agile and pivot your event and fundraising strategy.
I think for us, just the unknown of what 2020 was going to bring, because our biggest events was in the fall, and then we have a couple summer that we just didn't know. So again, with customer service, the staff, the team at RunSignup was good to do research and get roundtables together of events that were similar and just hear what everyone else is going through, what they were seeing. It was very helpful in just setting up resources for us. Through all that, we just for us, we had an event in April. We called it the social dash dancing, kind of playing on our drumstick dash events and social distancing. It was a free event. Just a lot of people were losing their jobs. We just wanted people to get out and move and just kind of spread awareness that we're still here too, going through it as well. We asked people if they could to make a donation and if they wanted to fundraise. So it was a pretty successful. I think we had about 250 people sign up for it and raised around $35,000, which was huge. And then we did another one, more of a virtual challenge. It was a month long. And by that time, RunSignup had really enhanced their virtual options. So we used the milestones and the badges, and people could self-report their times and things like that. And we had about 440 people sign up for that. So it really helped us kind of get through the unknown and through the rest of the year as well.
That's great.
I would add that we also had to figure out how to pivot from being the people out there dropping tents and tables and toilets and that skill set to suddenly how do we put on a virtual event, and now thinking about how do we mail out packets, and it all became about the swag, but also new types of events. Tammy, you mentioned the challenge. We started the Utah National Parks Challenge because we had a large database in Salt Lake City with our Salt Lake City Marathon, and then ended up pulling in 1,300 challengers, and then added on races using the multi-race bundle to sell not only the Parks Challenge for 369 miles, but there was the Zion 5K and the Bryce Canyon 8K, the Canyonlands Marathon. And that event alone was one that really got us some cash flow to see out the rough rest of 2020. What was great too was Eric from the GiveSignup RunSignup team, who is in charge of development and new business. He was feeding me ideas about, oh, you should think about this, you haven't turned this on, and just made sure I was optimizing the platform as much as possible. He was even available when I'm like, hey, does this logo look okay? Is that a weird color? So he was going beyond, I think, what his duties were, but he was really committed to us having success. And that was that, along with my account manager, Whitney. It was just that customer service we've all talked about already. It was really apparent during that experience.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, we had to cancel a large event that we had in March, and we didn't know what we were going to do during this pandemic because it was so unknown. And the endurance space was kind of talking about and commemorating the death of Ahmaud Arbery that was killed in Georgia during that time. At Civil Rights Race Series, we're kind of keen to things that happen in the culture. And so we decided, what could we do that would be most impactful? And so we reached out to our friends at RunSignup. How can we do something when we can't do something? Because again, we're really green on this virtual space. We'd gotten good on the streets, but this virtual thing was kind of different. So the virtual option for an event was introduced to us. And so we did a 30-day event called We're Done Dying, 1 Million Miles for Justice. And over that 30 days, we had about 7,000 participants from about 12 different countries. And a lot of that was because the technology was so easy to use and to leverage and to amplify the message that we were putting out there. And the tools were there. We didn't have to use our MailChimp account to do our marketing because we could use that feature in there. We could leverage that static page on the front of RunSignup to actually create a website as opposed to going somewhere externally. And so we learned from that we really can work through this. And we've done multiple virtual events from there. But I think, that introductory call from RunSignup telling us about these features and how these features can work. And then being race directors, how can we tie this in? And, we happen to have one of, in our eyes, one of the largest events from last year. And it made a lot of money for us.
Great. Well, that's great to hear. So let's talk a little bit more about, and I know Virgil, you just kind of answered this question again, but about technology and how it was able to help support you all through this change. I know just being in the nonprofit software space for quite a few years now, we are always preaching about the digital transformation, right? Leveraging virtual and injecting it into your fundraising strategies. It sounds like you guys were able to kind of pivot and leaned on RunSignup and GiveSignup to help you pivot. But talk to us a little bit more about how technology was really able to help empower you to make some of these changes and to be agile, and what would have happened had you not had a great technology partner to support you.
Okay, I can piggyback on that because we didn't know what the event was going to look like because of the unknown of COVID last year. We leveraged the tool to provide value for the activations of our corporate partners, but also value for our participants. And so those values, the finisher certificates, the digital badges, even the bib, actually the customization of the bib were things that provided value to not only the runner, the participant, but also the activations for the sponsors. Those little things mean a lot because we couldn't offer swag, because we had just lost in March. And so we wanted to be really lean with this event and be kind of impactful. And so, those digital assets helped us create value in the eyes of our participants. And, it kind of worked. We got 7,000 folks to come in.
That's great. Steve or Tammy, any more?
Yeah. I would say from the technology aspect, to echo kind of what Virgil is saying, is again, we couldn't create that in-person experience. So how do you create that same vibe and energy across fiber, across the digital landscape? And for us, we thought, well, we've got to up all those digital elements, and GiveSignup, RunSignup had all of those pieces to offer. So again, the easy manual results submission, or straight from the RaceJoy app, so that we could, we can't put Coroplast boards out on the course route and thank our sponsors, but we could have an audio message thanking our sponsors. We couldn't tell them about the millions of people that their donations were helping that were affected by brain tumors, on a start line stage, but we could host that on the cover page and integrate that again with RaceJoy. And as I mentioned before, activating the sponsorships, because you peel back so many levels of the digital offerings of the platform, and there's just more and more. So we discovered the banner ads you could offer on RaceJoy, and the landing homepage that you could customize and again activate sponsorship, but also use those for mission moments to really connect with your participants and remind them how important their participation is in this virtual event. The need doesn't change just because we're not live. So using all of these different channels and tools and avenues to still get those warm and fuzzies that you get at the finish line in person. And we were able to find that with RunSignup.
Just to kind of echo, RaceJoy was huge even before COVID hit. As we reviewed the previous year's event, ours is in November on Thanksgiving, and just look forward, one of the goals was to make our virtual option more engaging and just feel a part. And RaceJoy was going to be and was a huge part of that. Since we last minute had to go all virtual, we were able to do the cheers and have some of our sponsors do cheers when they passed a certain mile marker, or just at the beginning or the end. So just like Steve and Virgil both said, just all the things that RunSignup, GiveSignup came up with really helped us promote sponsors and the cause that we have.
Great. Well, it sounds like having the right technology in 2020 was really a key into helping you continue to not just survive but thrive through the unknown and the chaos. So switching gears a little bit, this is more geared towards you, Tammy and Virgil, because you guys have been customers for about 3 to 4 years each. So tell us a little bit more about, really the top 3 ways in which GiveSignup or RunSignup's platform has really helped improve the daily operations within your organization. Maybe what are products and features you love most and why? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll start. Okay, so first of all, not having to have a separate tool for our CRM, actually looking through, data, participant data, trying to compare who's doing what, those times, or if you haven't logged in that information, the triggers in there. I spoke of the mailing feature because we do multiple mailings during our virtual events just to keep people engaged. The Race Joy is a huge component to that, but also the upload feature of the photos. Because as a race director, we normally leverage social to capture those photos. We leverage our e-newsletter to capture those photos, but they're in different spots. So actually having a place where those photos are aggregated kind of, it gives the participant, a real race day feel. They can do those. And then we engage with that landing page, some content. We provide a start and end day activity where we put out different pieces of programming, leveraging in the activations of our sponsors. So let the sponsors say some things through those banner ads, through some video placements, talking about why we're doing whatever we're doing. But that's enabled by this tool, and it's growing each year. I can recall 4 years ago, it's not where it is today. And the team is really receptive to recommendations. I wish we had this. And you have a president. Bob is easy to reach and easy to say, okay, that makes sense. Let's see what the team can do. And we've been growing together as because of that relationship. So those are my few things.
Yeah, I really appreciate the email aspect as well. And the cover page was huge for us. It makes it look like a website and not just a registration platform. We did have a separate website for a couple of our events, and it was just crazy trying to keep up that with this way. It's all in one and it's instant. We don't have to wait on a web designer to fix whatever needs fixed. And you can put whatever content, videos, the thermometers, a lot of things on there. So I really like the cover page and just the flexibility that has. Even with the challenges, there's different things you can do there with challenges. The referral rewards was huge for us this past year. Just being able to, and we hope to promote that even more this year, just offering, a discount once you refer 5 people or whatever you make it, and then the swag as well. And then on the ministry side, one thing that we just started not too long ago, we set up a donation website. So we have people that want to raise money for us for maybe a birthday or an anniversary in lieu of gifts, or an honor or memory of someone. So we were able to set up a donation page on GiveSignup and have different campaigns for people. And the really neat thing about it is it's linked to Facebook. So people can do it through Facebook and have their own page and give it out. So we're really excited to get that started and look forward to seeing how that helps us raise money as well.
And also, piggybacking on that, the gamification that's enabled through the leaderboards, I think was essential in us getting to the numbers that we had, because we had some Olympians in, and the numbers that they were putting up was, incentivizing slow guys like me to try to do something, to put some additional miles out there, but also to raise additional money. And so those leaderboards saying, the number of team members, the largest number of team members, the greatest number of miles accumulated, the greatest number of, the dollars raised, et cetera. Those things kind of incentivize each of our teams. And then we put our corporate sponsors in a category as well, because, they committed to raising X number of dollars. So to have this company raising more than me, is something as well. And so the competition between those different facets of participants in the platform is beautiful. And it's, it incentivizes participation.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in too, in terms of some of our daily activities. We noticed this almost instantly, was just the easy lookup of registrants and managing their add-ons, their giveaway items, their fundraising pages, quick and easy edits to their information was really key to us, and easy to train individuals that were sort of working part-time, because people were either part-time or furloughed with the pandemic. So it really allowed us to be efficient with our time. The reports are incredibly robust and detailed, and in different ways that, depending on the purpose that you're looking for. And I won't name names of other platforms, but we would struggle with getting the information we needed, and then converting and doing, again, VLOOKUPs and pivot tables to try and give us the information that was meaningful. And with all of the reporting that we saw with GiveSignup and RunSignup, it was just the automatic thing that we needed. Or if the client needed a report, there were no questions after the report was sent, and we always felt confident when we sent it that it was exactly what they needed. So that, from an operations perspective, is a game changer as well. As we know, we were all navigating not only a crazy, unique work life and time period, but also personal lives. Me personally, having 3 young children screaming in the background while you're trying to also focus on your professional duties. So it became even more important to be efficient on the registration and fundraising pieces of our races.
That's great to hear. Before we actually keep going, I know one question I actually forgot to ask you guys to share when you talked about your organization is, how large of an organization are you, and how many staff? So if you guys could share that just for the audience so they can get a sense as well.
We have over 180-ish staff, depending on the time of year. We have more during the colder months. And our budget's about 13 million. So yeah, and within that staff, there are 3 of us that our whole focus is events. There's just 3 of us, but we pull in other team members as needed.
We're extremely small. There are 5 of us.
And our team is about 32 people pre-pandemic, that went down to about 4. So that was an adjustment as well. But we're starting to ramp up now, and we'll hopefully get back to that level very soon. And in terms of the level of events, about 150 events, from festivals to beer tastings to endurance events.
Awesome. All right, so I know you guys have all kind of shared a lot about the different types of events and races and campaigns that you've run over the last year, but maybe you can share with us, if you've been a customer longer, kind of what was the most successful event or campaign that you've run using the GiveSignup, RunSignup platform. Maybe share some of the features that you use that you think helped make it such a success, and maybe share also dollars raised.
Okay, I guess I'll start again. So last year's virtual, the June event that we conducted, like I said, it was about 7,000 people, about 12 different countries represented, and we raised about $250,000. And so that was our largest event to date, because normally on the streets, we get about 1,000, 2,000 people per event with our race series. But that virtual event kind of worked, and we did another one in September. But I think the June event with that 7,000 people was our largest.
Wow. And Virgil, would you mind sharing kind of based on the results and the dollars raised from that event, kind of how it impacted your mission? Tell us like how you've been able to or plan to leverage that and how impactful it was.
Okay, so one of the things that we do with all of our events, we partner with a service leader, a service partner, community service organization. Although we're 501c3, we work with other organizations because we have a threefold purpose: to tell the story about civil rights, but also to give back. An economic impact for our events is at the top of our list, and then to espouse fitness because we're all marathoners. And so what we did for that event, we teamed with the NAACP, because as I told you, that event was themed 1 Million Miles for Justice. And so our programming during that time was to talk about injustices across the country, equity across the country, and we were able to be most impactful by donating a huge chunk of that to that nonprofit for their work nationwide, their grassroots work nationwide. So, that's how we leverage that. But moving forward, we've been able to assist other race directors and other nonprofits with lessons learned. We learned a lot through this iterative process of putting together, transitioning from an in-person race to a purely virtual race, and now going back to a hybrid event in the fall. How to do it, how to activate, your corporate sponsors, because they're normally there for an in-person event. They want to, have their name on the back of a shirt, and they want to have this site or this banner or whatever. How do you activate in a virtual in this virtual world? So we've been able to create some best practices moving forward so that we can assist others. Because I think this virtual thing isn't going to go away, because we see how impactful we can be with folks across the world. You don't have to ride to my location to participate now. And then, oh, by the way, if something happens, we can quickly pivot to a virtual environment so we don't have to cancel. Because as race directors, we're always afraid of what's going to happen if this happens, if it rains, if it snows, if there's a car wreck, on the streets. We have to always consider those and create contingencies for that. So now we have gone through this virtual world, and everyone is kind of used to it, and we can create a pseudo race day activity inside of this virtual space, because we know how to activate, we know how to create some excitement. Through Race Joy, we can kind of communicate with you and give you some data boys. We can kind of, log your time in. And so it sort of feels like, we are going to be in this space for a good, for a long time now. So, let's embrace the technology. Let's see how we can improve on the technology. Again, our friends at RunSignup are really amenable to things that we see and hear. And, it would be good if we could do this. And, I love that, being able to talk with the tech guys and say, this doesn't work for me. Am I doing something wrong? I know I'm pretty dumb. So how do I do this better? And they work with us. And so, if I can, our experiences were, we were able to give a lot, but we were also able to learn a lot and able to pass that on to our peers.
That's great. Tammy or Steve, do you want to talk about kind of the most successful event or campaign that you've been able to run leveraging the platform, and share a little bit of how it's been able to impact your mission?
Yeah, I'll talk about the again, the Utah National Parks Challenge. Again, just because that was our most successful. It was about $150,000, which was a good amount for us. So maybe pales to other events, but what I thought was the most useful in the platform was and I mentioned before, was the multi-race bundles. So we found that there was a way to, we've got people engaged during the registration process. They're into running across all 5 national parks in Utah because they love Utah. But they also have these loyalties or connections to specific parks. So to be able to set up other races in the platform and then link them so they could be purchased together, and then all the data flowed between the two, or between between the 5 parks and the challenge, it was 6 events all linked together with different swag for each ones. And when I had to go, and because we were a lean organization, we had to take that campaign or that event and mail out 1,200 in one weekend, I remember. And being able to download all the reports that we needed across those multiple events and see that it was a multi-race bundle, so then I can link that up with the swag size that needed to be done for the other event. I mean, that was huge, or I would have been spending a lot more time, painful time in Excel. So, and it was just, and we had so many positive so much positive feedback from our participants saying, thank you so much for doing this. Like, this got me moving, it got me motivated. It was a great distraction. I've been in the house way too much. And these amazing stories. We just are finishing up the Salt Lake Fitness Challenge, was a training program for the marathon. So they're doing a virtual race, maybe 26.2 miles, but you're logging all those miles over several months. You might as well earn swag for it, right? And get on a leaderboard and see who's ahead of who, right? So that was the idea behind it. And we just had a girl who picked up her packet. She's 12 years old, and mom and her aunt also registered, but they couldn't keep up with the schedule. And the 12-year-old, she did 10,000 steps a day and was so proud of her achievement, and getting her jacket that she was so excited to wear on Monday. And those kind of stories were just really touching, to know that these things these are kind of events connect with people. Just because we weren't in person didn't mean that it felt less than. It was a way for her to have, in some ways, a sort of lifetime moment, something she'll always be able to refer back to, as a way that she made a goal and set it at a really young age. So so the Utah National Parks and the Salt Lake Fitness Challenge were two of our really successful campaigns.
Our Wheeler Mission's biggest fundraising event is the Drumstick Dash. It's a family fun run walk on Thanksgiving morning. At our peak, we had between 15 to 20,000. And just this past year, I'm just amazed. And I think a lot of it has to do with RunSignup. We had, I think, 31% less people. And then the peer-to-peer fundraising raised 41% more. It's the most we've ever raised from peer-to-peer. So they raised about $104,000, which just blew my mind. But I think it had to do with just the integrated fundraising. It's not required to fundraise for our event, but we do force a fundraising page to be created just because it's easy. And then we go back in those scheduled drip emails and say, hey, did you know that you have a fundraising page, and you can go the extra mile and raise even more money for the men, women, and children experiencing homelessness in our community. So that was a huge thing, I think, for us this past year, and hopefully continue down the road. We'll definitely continue to use it. So yeah, that was a great component. That I just love it all. Just all the referrals, and just continues to help us improve our events. And like I said, the team at RunSignup, GiveSignup are always offering suggestions and, hey, did you think about this? Or what about this event? This might be a good fit for you. So we're just really thankful that we landed here at RunSignup, and plan to be here for a long time.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Tammy. So it sounds like across all of you all that hybrid kind of races or hybrid campaigns is not going anywhere. It's now fully injected into your strategy, because you have really been able to unlock generosity across your user base by injecting it into your plan for, and 2020 showed, because it sounds like there was a lot of engagement, more probably than we all thought there would be. So that's great to hear. It's great to hear that you understand the power of it, and you plan on using it and continuing to engage with folks, not just in your own communities, but across the world, and including them in your campaigns moving forward. So why don't we shift gears a bit and talk a little bit about some of the things that you've learned, maybe like the biggest mistakes maybe you've made and how you've learned from those. Let's start there. Steve, you're laughing, so we're going to start with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. And one mistake that I made was, on several challenges before I learned my lesson, was stopping the results submissions the day that the challenge ended, and realizing that people had been saving some spreadsheets up in terms of, they had their own sort of there's an easy way to log each activity, and you can do it on your phone as you're finishing up your walk or your run. But some people maybe that enjoy Excel a lot had some pretty elaborate plans for their challenges and how they recorded it. And so they needed to upload it, and giving people a week or two to upload that, I think was really key to avoiding a lot of customer service, unneeded customer service that we had to do to open results back up or manually go in and fix it for them. So that was one mistake that I learned that would have saved me time. The other one was at first I didn't know about and actually I didn't know about the power of the social sharing settings where I could customize the messages that actually post when people are sharing to Facebook from the registration site. And I could actually change the image from the event logo to something that's a little more social media friendly or more action oriented for that audience and that platform, or that way that people are getting the content. And so I felt like, man, I missed some really great opportunities in those early ones. But when we did the Empower Up Fitness Challenge for Girls on the Run, we were locked in with those features, and I feel like it made a difference because I noticed it's also a great organization and charity, right? So there's a lot of engagement for that reason, but we also saw a little bit more activity that I would attribute to that additional customization.
Any other kind of biggest lessons learned from over the few years that anyone else would like to share?
Well, piggybacking off of Steve, I think the reporting on the tail end of the event, the self-reporting of the time is a big one. I know our email box got filled with folks. I did 150 miles, but you only have me on the leaderboard for 10 miles. Well, Mr. Virgil, you didn't log it in. And so some of this is the soft nudging of our participants. Ensure that if you're self-reporting, to put your numbers in, because we can't accurately award you anything or reward you anything if we don't know. Because this isn't like we're on the streets and we can see you and we can say you didn't cross that line. This is a virtual environment. And so, that was probably our biggest lesson learned. And, we've included that in our FAQs, and we do some additional things to ensure that our folks are getting their numbers in, but those teams are getting their numbers in. Our corporate sponsors are getting, the biggest bang for their buck with their activation. And so that I think the closeout of the event is where we learned our biggest lessons, so that we can, pass that on, in future events and so forth.
Great, that's great to hear. Go ahead, Tammy.
This isn't really probably what you're wanting, but I feel like I learn something every time I'm on a webinar or a roundtable or something. And just even, I think it was Virgil just a few minutes ago mentioned using the videos on the platform for sponsors. That's a great idea. So I'm going to take that one, Virgil, back with me and use it. But yeah, I just love the learning that you guys offer, and I learn something every time.
Okay, I look for attribution on the Wheel of Mission website. Virgil said.
Yeah.
That's great. Look, we're all learning from each other. I love to hear that you love the content and the videos and the information that we're putting out to help you just continue to blossom. So
Chanel, I got one more, but it's kind of related to what we've talked about, but I want to put an exclamation point on it, is using the cover page as your website rather than trying to maintain a separate standalone site and your registration site. Because if you have to make changes, you need to remember every nook and cranny on your site and make sure you know WordPress or pay somebody to do that. I spent so much time doing duplicate updates on both sites for the Utah Parks Challenge. And then when we did Girls on the Run and Power Up Fitness Challenge, we did it all in one. And that, I keep using this phrase, I'm gonna say it again, it was a game changer. Like it saved me so much time, because what's great is when you're updating one thing like the date in RunSignup, that flows through all the other elements on your website page. So therefore you're not having to go into all those nooks and crannies. I mean, of course there's some little ones where you've done custom text, but you know, that sort of like flow of information, the process all the way through was really helpful, and I made that mistake that I won't repeat.
Great to hear. Great to hear that there's some lessons learned, and I'm glad that we're able to share that with our peers that are in the audience here. So, you know, I know we're nearing kind of the end, and we'll definitely check to make sure there's no more questions from the folks that are listening in. But if you guys had to really just impart some wisdom on those that are listening, not all our customers, some are new to this GiveSignup, RunSignup community, and are really, you know, if you had to leave them with some wisdom as they're maybe entering in their evaluation stage and really trying to figure out what next, right? What would you share with them?
All right, I won't make Virgil kick us off this time, because he's been our superstar leading this. But I'll start by saying I am continually impressed with the way that RunSignup, GiveSignup, the support articles, and we've touched on this a little bit, that are out there, not only for directors and organizers, but for participants. It is so rich, and using a Google engine, because their SEO, their search engine is so powerful. If you type in anything that you are experiencing as you're moving along, how do I set up this, or am I doing this the right way, or is that what I should expect, or how do I tell this person how to update their t-shirt, you know, and now I got to type out this long tutorial and do screenshots. That stuff is all out there, and it's the same stuff that all the account managers are arming all of the events with when there's confusion, because all of this stuff is built out. And I had never seen such a powerful or such a large network of support content out there from a platform before. So I would really pull up Google, give it a Goog every time you don't know what you're doing, and the first 1 or 2 hits will be the exact article, and we'll walk you through. And there's probably also a webinar embedded there, so you can actually watch somebody during the process. So that would be my advice, like if you get, you know, confused about what to do. The other thing real quick is just to just know that you don't have to switch over right away everything. I think people get worried and they're like, oh, we're with, you know, TeamRaiser, or everything's on Eventbrite, and that's just too big of a lift for us. I think that if all this stuff sounds really good, just putting one campaign, or one, even if it's a smaller one, to sort of get your feet wet and experience it, there's no charges, and people forget about that. I was working with Habitat for Humanity on a cycling ride, and we probably said 3 times in a call, this was before working for RunSignup, GiveSignup, I'm like, guys, it is actually free. And they're like, and we talk about something else, and then later they're like, right, but then we're going to get invoice for how much? And I said, no, it is a free model. The participants are paying a transaction fee. There's no upfront cost. There's no annual subscription to use the platform. And that, I think, was really hard to get through to them, because everyone is so used to paying these really large platform fees from some of the other places to go for these services. So, you know, I would say just give it a shot for one, and then you'll be able to bring your team on board. If you feel like this is definitely for us, but you know that one person that's just going to struggle, like, do something small, get it on there. It doesn't cost you anything.
You know, I would recommend going on to the platform and looking at a couple of different campaigns. One of the things that we did, we registered for a couple of campaigns to see, okay, what is this? You know, how do we do this? And then went back to our account manager. We'd like to do this. And so, you know, actually going in and seeing those of us that are kind of experienced in the platform, I'm not going to say experts in the platform, but experienced in the platform, and the features that we've leveraged, and, you know, some of the services that we're doing, and how we're engaging with our various audiences, and see if, you know, and then ask the question, because I know on a seminar like this, we're giving you a lot through a fire hose. We're just ramming a lot of things down your throat. And so it may be, you know, really, you know, it may be overwhelming, but it's not. You know, look at what we're doing. We have an event next month called HBCU Fun Fest. Look at how we designed that thing, and then ask your account manager, how did they do that? How did this, how does Race Joy, because I'm looking at some of the questions, how does Race Joy fit into this? How did they do that bib? How do they add those pictures, add those questions, but, it's iterative, how do they set up? And then how do they do that? And you can learn just by looking and registering and going through the process. Okay, what did I get in the email? Okay, why? How did that happen? It's just that simple. Go through the process, look at what we're doing, and then just replicate.
Yeah, just echoing what Steve and Virgil said, just jump in, and it's free and you're not alone. And the wizard to set up the basics is very simple. And then the supports page and the team that's there to help you is just great. So I just highly recommend just doing it.
Great. Before we go to my last question, Johanna, do we have any other questions that we missed from the chat? I know some of it have already gotten answered. No, I guess not. Johanna, if you're talking, I cannot hear you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, we have one question just that I think would be great to get to. Just if you guys want to go over about how much time it takes you from start to finish to get your event created. I know there will be a lot of variability on that. So just kind of, the scope of your event and how long you plan for launching it based on that.
I mean, I'll say, to get started on a race, using the wizard, like Tammy mentioned, I mean, you can literally get that done. If you have your logo and you have the basic information about where your event is, and you're armed with those like really basic pieces. I mean, it could be 5-10 minutes, if even that, to get up and rolling, and you could start taking registrations. And I think what's cool about it is that you don't have to turn on all these bells and whistles to get going. So it sounds like, oh my gosh, I got to worry about racetrack, I got to worry about teams, I got to worry about this and this. The wizard cuts through all to the basics. And it's still, on the other side of that wizard comes a really professional looking platform that, if you didn't touch all the rest of the stuff, would still really serve you well. So I would say that you can get it up in 5 to 10 minutes. I would say for this, I don't know if I'm answering the question or going beyond into another tangent, but I would say that you want to market anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before a virtual challenge starts, because once the challenge starts, the drop off really happens. People want to get in before they feel like it's too late after it has already started. So that's one piece of advice I would give. But I would, if you're going to really customize and do all the bells and whistles, give yourself 2 to 3 weeks and give a heads up to your graphics people that you're going to need, a little bit of, support if you need to do the social sharing options, customizing different images. But so it really depends, like Sharon was kind of alluding to, how deep you want to go. And if you don't know about it, and this was another, get ready for a game changer for me last year, was finding Canva. Canva is such an easy design tool, especially for those of us that are a little bit clumsy with Photoshop and other more sophisticated design pieces. So you can really get some cool images and even design your t-shirts and not have a lot of design skills. So I don't know if I answered the question, Chardell, but there's a few timelines in there.
No, thank you, Steve.
Just thinking of year 2, there's a great feature to renew the race, and that keeps all of your data all in one race, and it's just there from year over year. So it's really simple the second year, and then you can add things as you go along, as you discover them, but it's very simple.
Great.
I think, everything's been said. It's an iterative process, because as you're bringing your corporate sponsors in, there are going to be some minor tweaks that you make, but, a couple of weeks, you should be really good to go, and, leaning forward into whatever you have, just small tweaks that you'd have.
Great. So we'll end on this last question. What are you all most excited about for 2021 and beyond?
getting back on the streets. If I can just start off, I'm tired of sitting in the house. I have a 13-year-old and a 6-month-old Maltese that runs around and gets in my space. So if I can get rid of my dog and my daughter and get back to life, I think everything would be great. But as a race director, you know, we're leaning forward into an event next month. I alluded to it a little bit. We're doing a $3 million raise for the HBCUs in the country called HBCU Fun Fest. So we're excited about that. We're excited about getting to some hybrid events in the fall and then going back on the streets full force next year.
Great. Steve, Tammy?
I think the same, just having in-person events and continuing with the virtual aspect as well, making them hybrid, and yeah, just seeing how 2021 goes and 2022, hopefully being back to whatever normal is.
Yes. Well said.
Exactly. And I think I'm in two worlds, because even though I'm taking on a role with as a senior account manager with GiveSignup, RunSignup, I'm still have a few events that I'm managing and still timing a few races as a chronotrack timer. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to see how it plays out, offering the virtual, the hybrid events, as well as incorporating things like, it sounds like, Tammy, you were using RaceJoy before the pandemic. We were not. So I'm excited to see how it plays on race day, and people can, you know, that are in Nashville can be communicating and interacting with people in Utah, you know, on the same day doing the same race, even though they're not, you know, together. So I think that's going to be really neat. And I also know, like, it's, you know, just seeing now in the internal side, you know, being like a super fan from afar, and I promise no one's paying me to say this, and I'm not going to get fired if I don't. I mean this from the heart. Like, it was such a good experience. It was, and when I got the opportunity to come and work for the company, I just couldn't believe it. You know, we all work with so many vendors and platforms over the years, and there's just some that you really connect with, and the values, and having a conversation with Bob, you know, before coming on and realizing, like, this is a guy who will listen to everybody and take the feedback and actually do something with it, because it's going to make all of us better, not just him as a company. It's going to make all the clients, which, you know, and all the customers, all the races, and therefore we're all going to lift up together. And to see all the development in the queue, like, there's so many exciting things and things that are just happening really quickly, and more developers being brought on. And I know Charnel and her team, from the marketing perspective, are coming on strong. So it's, GiveSignup, RunSignup is a company that is just launching right now, and it's really fun to be a part of that energy.
Great. Well, I want to thank you all. I want to thank Steve, Tammy, Virgil. Thank you all for giving us some time and for talking and answering all of these great questions. For those who are still with us online, if we didn't answer your questions, we will definitely make sure we follow up and get them all answered. But thank you all. We just continue to hope that everyone is able to unlock generosity this year and on forward, and look forward to seeing you all again on another one of our seminars or webinars. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Back to you, Johanna.
Thank you. All right. I think we are all wrapped up. If you guys have anything that you wanted to follow up with us on, feel free to send an email. We will be sending follow-up tomorrow with recordings of everything and links to more information about a lot of the features that we talked about today, as well as going through the chat to make sure we didn't miss any questions that didn't get answered today. Thank you guys for coming, and we will see you later.